An army around 1,000 years back consisted of mostly horses, soldiers, cavalrymen. Also, it had its own transport systems, which were purely mechanical, but it was also efficient, like how we see in today's modern times. They also covered long distances, except that it took much more time on the ground. On the earth, there was no provision to fly. There were vast armies in the world with a plan of an emperor. Maybe Alexander the Great, as we have heard. Maybe Genghis Khan, as we have heard. And also some of the greatest Roman empires. Empires across the Middle East, the Far East Asia, Africa. We should also remember that around 10,000 years back, even the African peninsula was kind of prosperous. Not as we see today. Today, Africa is also prospering. There were vast rulers in the Indian subcontinent also. In the Russian Empire, as we see today. And if you take some of the greatest rulers, as we have heard today, which includes the likes of Julius Caesar, and so their objective was to increase the territory as much as possible. Now, where is Genghis Khan? Where is Julius Caesar the Great? Where is Alexander the Great? Where is some of the greatest rulers on earth? What do we remember them about? Is it about their conquest? What did their lives have meaning on the last day of their lives? Just take the example of Genghis Khan, who conquered nearly a huge part of the earth as we see today. Or just take Alexander the Great, who conquered a huge part of the earth as we see today. Now, when we say that he conquered a huge part of the earth, it also meant that these emperors could get any of the diamonds from any part of the conquered territories, could get all of the gold at the beck and call. The emperor would summon the closest advisor and ask him to bring all of the gold, 10,000 tons of gold, and it will be brought from around the kingdom to the emperor at the beck and call during the time of the reign. But on the last day of their lives, where did all the gold go? What was the purpose of all the gold, of all of the territories that they conquered? A huge part of the earth, which was entitled to them in terms of paper understanding, in terms of the soldiers, in terms of their war machinery. What was the purpose? As we understand, any kind of wealth, any kind of conquest, any kind of abundance of creation which is gifted to humans has only meaning when it's managed along with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Irrespective of the greatest emperors, the greatest of empresses, we remember the lives in terms of what they have contributed to the future generations, in terms of the palaces they built, in terms of the infrastructure they created, in terms of the road systems they created, the goodness they created for their fellow men and also for the future. And it's only that part that we remember. We do not remember their wealth, which was entrusted to them in terms of paper understanding that they had so much of territory for themselves. And if they focus their lives based on their selfish goals, it was a life of misery at the end day of their lives. The last day of their lives had no meaning because all of the wealth were lost. And they turned one with the earth. But the only meaning they had with all of the wealth, with all of the conquest, with all of the territories they had, was to work with the energies of the earth, with sustained life. That is the only meaning they had. And you see, some of the greatest emperors worked with the energies of the earth, and they destroyed energies which worked against the source code of life for the earth. Not because they understood, but that was their purpose in life. And by doing so, they prospered. The empires prospered. They were remembered into the future. The gardens, their infrastructure, the palaces, the road systems, the contributions to science, the contributions to technologies which has evolved as of today, in terms of rubber wheels, in terms of vehicles, in terms of scientific understanding, inventions, is because they worked along with the energies of the earth which sustain life. There was a farmer who was entrusted by one of the kings to manage more than 1,000 acres. And the king entrusted him so that he could see that which of the people could work along with the energies of the earth which sustain life and improve their farms. Now the king did not have that kind of understanding, but he understood that being with nature, being with the source code of life, being with oxygen, promoting the best source of water for his kingdom, and the best roads, the best infrastructure along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, was the best solution, not just for managing his kingdom and for abundance moving into his kingdom, but also for the future. And he entrusted one of those farmers to manage 1,000 acres. Then he divided another 1,000 acres among another 10 people and gave them 100 acres each to be managed. The person with 1,000 acres started to do things within his 1,000 acres without much of consideration for the earth's energies which sustain life. He was looking into making as much as money as possible for himself and for the king out of the 1,000 acres which is given to him. So he started to exploit the land resources. He started digging big excavation into his 1,000 acres land to look for minerals, maybe gold, maybe silver. And after a period of 5 years, the entire 1,000 acres were kind of devastated in the natural systems. He had dug deep tunnels, deep holes to try to exploit the best of natural resources of the 1,000 acres. And after 5 years, the entire land was kind of unusable because it had been depleted of its natural resources. And out of the 100 acres given to the other 9 people, there was one person who used that 100 acres to grow the best of cultivation along with the energies of the earth, the best of natural systems of the soil, which worked with the life-nourishing systems of the earth, by which the plant leaves moved into the soil, the organic material of the plants, the trees moved into the soil and made it the most fertile soil. He envisioned the best of irrigation system for his farm. He grew the best of flowers. He made the best of roads and made it very organized to live along with nature. The 100 acres was a heavenly abode of paradise in terms of being with the natural systems of the earth. the best of gardens, the best of plantations, along with the best of infrastructure. He did not forget to build the best of roads, the best of buildings. He did so along with the energies, with the best of gardens, with the best of trees, the fruit-bearing trees, the vegetables. He had natural life systems along with birds, animals which worked along with him. Not to try to use the animals for personal gain, but to be one with the life-nourishing systems of the earth. And after 5 years, the king summoned all of them together to his court, and then asked the person who had the 1,000 acres, "What did you do with your land?" He said, "I exploited the whole of the land of 1,000 acres and drew all of the minerals, and this is what I've got." "And what did you do with your land? How is your land as of now?" "The land has been taken off all of its natural resources. I've done everything I could to use the 1,000 acres which you gave me to exploit it without consideration for the natural systems." Then out of the other 9 people, the king chose the person who managed his 100 acres the most beautifully, along with the natural rhythms of the earth, along with the energies of the earth which sustain life. And then he took all of the 1,000 acres from the person who exploited the land, and all of the other 8 people who did nothing much except that to try to exploit the land, and gave it to this person who worked with the natural rhythms of the earth, the energies of the earth, which is the source code of life for his land, and also for the rhythms of the earth, for the natural energies of the earth. The person who had the 100 acres now had 10,000 acres of land, by which the king gave him additionally. "This will be our reward for being with the energies of the earth. In our lives today, and also into the future, we will be remembered into the yesterday, today and tomorrow, because we are working today for the future generations, and doing so, our lives on earth are blessed today. And into the future, let's replenish our earth." The concept of running behind money and wealth and trying to gain everything for ourselves during our lives on earth will lead to a downfall in life, will lead to all kinds of problems associated with running for the carnal desires alone. As we mentioned before, trying to make money as fast as possible is one of the fastest ways, as we understand, towards a life of depression, a life of troubles. And it is also one of the most foolish ways to try to gain things for oneself without being concerned about the world in general. One of the smartest, most wisest, and the only way as a human by which we should move into abundance, get all the material things we want on earth, is to move with the energies of the earth. Now, I'm going to explain to you about the principle of the energy of being with the source code of life, which is being with the energy of the oxygen that is helping us survive, and being with some kind of dark force which is imaginary in the human mind. There is no dark force as such in the world. Everything vibrates with the energy of the universe, which sustains all life for all beings. If some energy does not vibrate, it's only a matter of time when, if you can call it any kind of dark force or anything for that matter, it will start to vibrate with the energies of the universe, which will change form. As we've understood, even the most dirtiest water in a lake will eventually dry up and become a ground source, or it will evaporate into the clouds and become rains. Even there, as we know, the seawater also, which cannot be consumed, also evaporates and becomes rain. The seawater is also oxygen and hydrogen. It's the same oxygen that we breathe. It's the life form of the universe. So we can coin any kind of words in terms of our human understanding, and it's more towards a kind of foolish thinking that we term it dark force, and so it's more of a lack of understanding, and it's more of a insult to the human beings that we are. We are human beings because we are one with the energies of the earth. Now let me explain what is the energies which sustain all life, and what is the energy of darkness, which is a very incompetent term used, because there's no energy of darkness, as we said. It's only either we vibrate with the universal source of life, which keeps every life form alive on earth, keeps every planet within its planetary system, which gives us and our children the oxygen. So being with that force is the only wisest and only thing we should do. But when we say we are with the dark force, it means that we are in a vibration which is against the source of life of the universe. And any kind of money and wealth you try to make out of that kind of vibration will eventually cause our downfall, because the dark energy, which is a vibration against the energy of life, is essentially an energy which is going to be destroyed in some way or the other, and the same dark energy in principle will eat up the person, people, any kind of system which is within the dark energy, because that's the principle of the dark energy. The principle of the dark energy is that any kind of vibration against the universal force will start to vibrate with the energies of the universe which sustain life. That is the truth of the matter. It's the oxygen that you breathe. If there's any force trying to come against the oxygen that you breathe, it will be destroyed at some point of the hour or the other, and become one with the oxygen. You see, every life form on earth survives on oxygen. So this is the principle of being with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Once we move into the energies of the earth which provides abundance to our planet in terms of cultivation, in terms of the energy system, in terms of the oxygen, the rains, the rivers, the seas, the water that we get in terms of nourishment, all of the life systems, we are enhancing our own lives. It's the smartest, easiest and most human way to be with the source code of life. Let's replenish our earth. There is a story of two mafia families, very prominent mafia families. I'm not going to name them, but two brothers within those families were controlling those families in Italy. So again, we're not going into specifics, but we are going to look into an example of how the brothers moved into the future from their mafia background, from their background by which they wanted to focus on money and get things as fast as possible. So one of those brothers was completely into the criminal activity of trying to gain wealth as fast as possible. Even the other brother also was in the same league, and both of them kind of competed with each other, but they were brothers and they had an understanding. But after some time, a lot of problems started coming in associated with crime, which included from law enforcement. They made enough of wealth to the tune of $1 million usually every day for each of the brothers. But even those $1 million coming in every day was only in the paper. They had their associates who were also vying for the money. And any kind of lifestyle they had was all a fickle matter on the outside. Deep down within their subconscious, they were running from the law. They were against the basics of the law of the land. They were trying to make money as fast as possible, but there was also a very large percentage of the law enforcement who were trying to get them, so they were moving from one place to the other. So even though the brothers earned millions of dollars in a month to the tune of $50 to $100 million, which was the income in the system of the mafia, it also had to be given to other members, and each of the other members also were vying for a share. And they had troubles within their own mafia kingdom itself. Their most nearest, the closest associates were also the most deadliest, who could take their position at any time by taking them off, or assassinating them, or killing them. So they were also always wary of their own associates. They were wary of their law enforcement who were against them. And most importantly, they could not enjoy any part of their money. It was just a show, just like in the movies that we see. And one of those brothers, over a period of 5 years, got tired of the life that he led. He had all the money in terms of paper, in terms of everyone looking up at him, in terms of what their mafia gang or whatever they call themselves had. Millions and millions of dollars coming in every month, but associated crime, running from the law. One of those brothers got tired, and he said that he's going to give up in terms of the mafia activity and then surrender to the police. He surrendered, and then over a period of 10 years, he spent this time in prison. The other brother was still within the mafia league. And over a period of 10 years, the brother who was in the prison was given a chance to move with the energies of the earth, to think of businesses which sustain with the prosperity of the earth. Now, they didn't tell him exactly that he has to work on any business which is prosperous for the earth, but they asked him to work on ideas which will help the future generations. And one of those mafia brothers took up that initiative, and one of the largest companies in Italy, and which is also global, is from the idea of that mafia brother. As I said, I do not want to go into the specifics. It is one of the largest companies in terms of automobiles. One of the largest companies, and one of the most expensive cars, and one of the most beautiful cars were designed by one of those brothers. The other brother, who was with the mafia line, running from the law, but also getting millions of dollars every month which he could not enjoy, was gunned down by the law. His family also perished. People associated with him perished. They moved into different other places because they were against the vibrations of the universe which sustained life. The brother which moved into the source code of life through an idea, his company is even prospering today. There are millions of shareholders, and he, along with his family and associates, is also prospering into the future. This should be our example into the future of all of the deepest discoveries. Any of our activities should be along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, because that is the only sensible, it is the only way by which we should get connected with the creative source code of life, which is the basics of us being human. Let's replenish our earth. A group of entrepreneurs around 3,000 years back, a group of entrepreneurs today, and a group of entrepreneurs 300 years into the future is what we would discuss today. A group of entrepreneurs 3,000 years back had the objective of creating wealth through business. In those times, creating wealth through business was through the most efficient barter trade. So what they had to look for was to get the best of things which was required during those times, had the highest value of exchange, which means that if they had implements, gold, silver, or livestock, which was helpful to humans as companions, not as the livestock which we see today in terms of our understanding. If they had systems of replenishing the soil with organic material, that was also involved. So those entrepreneurs 3,000 years back sought the best of products to be exchanged under the barter system, and they found a particular product which was very useful to most people, and that product was the efficiency of the soil for agriculture. They had their own organic system of producing the best of soil, which could be distributed at any part of the kingdom. You know, the market at that time was not the global market. It was designated to a specific area according to the size of the kingdom of the area. So these group of entrepreneurs decided to make the best of organic soil, and then by moving with the energies of the earth, which they did not know by understanding, but they invariably, by opting for the best of soil with the best of organic life within it, they in turn were working with the energy of the earth with sustained life, and their business prospered. Everyone wanted their soil because at the end of the day the crops were in abundance when they used the soil. They had their own technique of producing organic soil 3,000 years back. Now if you see today, the entrepreneurs of today also have that same option of producing the best of soil. We understand that the fertilizers that we are using in terms of chemical fertilizers are not helpful in the long term, which might be in the next 10 to 15 years. It depletes the soil to a large extent if you're just going to concentrate on fertilizers. So again, today we have come back to the 3,000-year-old entrepreneurship, and we are developing soil along with organic agriculture. The organic life within the soil is the most important part of the nourishing food that you eat, that we eat. The fruits, the vegetables, even any kind of food that you eat, even the fish or whatever it is, thrives on organic agriculture in the long term, in the next 15 years, 20 years. The organic life within the soil is what makes the soil efficient. Now 3,000 years ago and 3,000 years today, the soil business, the soil entrepreneurship remain the same because it works with the energies of the earth which sustain future generations. Even 300 years into the future, humans will have to consume quality food. They will have to consume quality vegetables, quality fruits, the best of water system. Again, it's all about organic life within the soil. It's not about fertilizers. Fertilizers has a limited time span. It's like the stock market graph. It might go up in a blip. The crop might go up in a blip and then again come down. But organic life is what sustains the soil, the very microorganisms, even 300 years into the future. This will be our lesson, the yesterday, today and tomorrow, of the natural systems of the earth, which remains the same. The oxygen, the water, the quality of the soil and every life system. Let's replenish our earth. Whatever happens in life happens for good. Once you have that kind of clear purpose along with the energies of the universe, then whatever happens in your life along with your meditation with the source of life of our world, the vibration of creation will be on our side. But just saying that we are with the vibration of creation does not make all the bad things that might come into our lives for our good. The only way which we can turn any kind of problems which are into our lives for the benefit of the future generations, also turn that energy into an energy which helps the future generations. Any problems, any challenges, any obstacle which comes in your way will be cleared by the source code of life. In whatever way the source code of life feels best in our lives. When you have that faith and you're along with the purpose and you're working with dedication with the purpose of serving the future generations, of serving the basic oxygen that you're breathing, which is keeping every soul in our world alive, which is keeping every living system in our world alive, which is keeping all of our humans alive, our very own family alive, the oxygen that we breathe, your children alive, and thriving into the future. Once we respect the basic oxygen, which includes the water, we should understand every source of water, which includes the water that we drink, the water in the lakes, the water in the rivers, the water in the seas and the oceans, are oxygen in part. In part it is oxygen and hydrogen. Water, the elements of water. We breathe oxygen, we drink oxygen and hydrogen, which makes water. 96% of our brain is water. Nearly 50 to 60% of our body in terms of our human being matter is water. So essentially we are in sync with the source code of life, which is oxygen. And that oxygen that we breathe empowers us. The water that we drink nourishes our soul, mind, keeps us alive. And every other system of life keeps us in resonance with the source code of life, which includes the gravity, which includes every life system. The trees, the rivers, the lakes, the mountains. We can go on and on, the gravitational force, but we must understand this is the basics of everything that we do. We might be on any class of level within the society, be it at the ground level or at the highest levels. But this is what the basic systems of life keeps us nourished along with the source code of life and helps us flourish in our ideas, in our tasks, in our purpose. And only when our purpose is with the energies of the universe which sustain life for every being on earth and the future generation, the future child, and every living system on earth, then our lives will have meaning, as we have discussed. Our lives will have meaning in the yesterday, today and tomorrow. We will get into projects which are nourishing the future generations, which will help the present generations as well as the future generations. Yeah, you must understand there are certain limiting factors within our mind in terms of speed of travel, because we have evolved through technology of the past 100,000 years. And the past 100,000 years, our technology was to move along with the friction and the gravity of the earth. So all of our technologies involved having vehicles which could move through friction and gravity at the fastest speeds, which means that they had powerful engines which could move in the best speeds against the friction. And what was friction? Friction is that part which makes the contact with the surface of the earth smooth. So it came to the fastest of wheels, and also designing the vehicles in a way as such that it could move through the winds and any kind of force which might obstruct the speed of the vehicle. And then there was a part of gravity. The heavier the vehicle, the more the gravity and the fuel consumption. Now we understand, as per our latest technologies, once we move into space, it's a different kind of technology altogether in terms of speed. There is no friction as such. There is no gravity as such. And today we are moving at the fastest speeds. Some of the latest satellites of NASA has traveled millions of miles in a matter of months. Today we cannot comprehend that kind of travel in our minds, because our minds are not in that process of calculation of speed of vehicles into the future. But we should know that the time for extreme speeds of travel in space is very much near, in the next 50 years, 100 years. Let's understand that the speed limits on Earth are all about gravity and friction. Now if you move into space, there is no gravity, there is no friction. And it's all about the next level of technology which can move vehicles at the fastest of speeds. There will be a time on Earth very soon into the future, which might be the next 100 years, 200 years, where we will have the ability to travel at the speed of light and much more. When there is no friction, when there is no gravity, it's only the option of the advanced technology into the future in terms of vehicles, which will help us move at the fastest speeds. Around 700 years into the future, there were a couple of students and elders who thought that they needed to go for a trip around the world. And a couple of students, which were around 7 to 8 of them, and then the elders also got into the vehicles. The vehicles were vehicles which could move on the land, water, as well as on the air. So they took off on the roads and then moved into the sky. Now the younger generations were more adventurous. They wanted to see every corner of the earth. And they had also abilities by which they could travel outside into space and get into another planet, which was conducive to human living. There were missions from the earth which had gone into different planets, and human life was established in those planets which were conditioned for human life to thrive, evolve, and prosper into the future. So when these people started to travel, they could travel at higher speeds or limit the speeds. The speeds of today are not what will be the speeds into the future around 700 or 1,000 years from now. We must understand that if we have machines which can go into space where there is no gravity to hold us back, the speeds can reach enormous levels, and which within a matter of seconds, 900 years into the future, they could travel millions of kilometers. The distance that we envision in our mind today was no longer a hindrance. Once they moved into space, it was all about moving at the fastest pace which we can imagine as of now. We just cannot imagine the speed at which the future of travel will evolve. As of now, our rockets travel at the highest speeds. It has traveled millions of kilometers over a period of months and years. But into the future, we will have advanced levels of transport. And it would be very easy for people, equipments, minerals which are required at different planets to be transported from each planet to the other, or from one comet to the other, to bring in the resources which might not be enough on a particular place at present which we live on Earth. Human beings would have inhabited different places across the space and the universe as we see today. And the family which traveled, the elders and the youngsters, they had the opportunity to travel to different places across space at the fastest pace, using the fastest machines which we cannot imagine as of today. And those machines were conditioned to travel at the best, fastest and safest pace. And when there was no gravity to hold back the machines, humans could travel in a matter of 1 hour or 30 minutes or much longer maybe, but at vast distances, millions of kilometers travel in an hour was a possibility. Such will be our evolution of technology in terms of transport. The youngsters took their travel long into space and traveled into another planet. The elders, who were a little more cautious, took a travel to the nearest planet, which was also safe and which had all of the life nourishing system just like Earth. Humans had developed the place, another planet, to be as good as Earth in terms of the nourishment of life. We must understand that this will be the kind of lifestyle which will evolve into the future. Today's transport systems are evolving and our engines are moving in terms of technology at the greatest pace in terms of evolution. Just around 150 years ago, 100 years ago, we used steam engines. Today we are using the fastest of jet engines, which travels to the moon and also to other planets, which includes Mars. And with the greatest of learning systems and the greatest of deep learning systems, we will evolve in our capacity to travel to different places across the universe. And it will be one of the greatest achievements of human engineering to travel, to see new places, to see new planets, to travel across space. But all of this is still dependent on our attitude towards the energies of the universe which sustain life. Once we move along with technology, with the source code of the universe, the source code of life, which makes our earth a living space for humanity, the same respect for the source code of creation will help us move into different planets across the world through the evolution of technology into the future. The greatest of deep learning, the greatest of chips, the greatest of supercomputers, the greatest of quantum computers, which quadruples in its knowledge, which is not just 1 year from now, 5 years from now, will advance thousands of years, thousands of times into the future in terms of technological evolution. And with this power and capacity to travel to different planets, we will still respect the source code of creation, the intelligence of the universe. Let's replenish our earth.